All politics is local. Let me ask you a California question. Those students, we just talked about them, they're staging a sit-in right now at the University of California, Santa Cruz. They have a 32% tuition and fee hike. They think that's an outrage, and they're staging this sit-in. Number one, are they right? Do they have every right to be outraged? And number two, would you, as a senator, support the governor or anybody local authority sending the police in to forcibly remove them, or should they be heard?
Well, A, I think they should be heard, and B, of course it's an outrage. I mean, how do you say to students and their parents, surprise, you're going to have a 32% fee increase? Just as it was outrageous to say, surprise, we're going to pay you back with IOUs. But again, California is a test case of the fact that bigger and bigger government and higher taxes just don't work. We are now facing, as a nation, an unsustainable deficit. There are only two things that can be done to bring that deficit under control so that we don't leave our children and grandchildren with unsustainable levels of debt. We have to grow the economy, and we actually have to reduce federal government spending. And those two platforms are what I will run on, and those two issues, interestingly, are the #1 issues for the people of California, regardless of party affiliation.
I want to circle back to your personal experience and how it relates to the health care debate. You mentioned these advisory panel came out with these new recommendations saying no longer should women starting mammograms at 40, move it up to 50, because their calculation was, and they've spelled it out pretty plainly, they said going at 40 does save some lives, but they also think it had caused unnecessary grief, unnecessary stress, some unnecessary testing.
Well, first, the panel was specifically asked to look at costs as well as care. Secondly, the panel did not include an oncologist or a radiologist, that is, people who know something about it. Breast cancer is among the most common forms of cancer among women and among the most curable. In my own situation, I found my own lump 2 weeks after a clear mammogram. Had I followed these new recommendations and not received another mammogram for 2 full years, I'm over 50, I could well not be sitting here. The truth is, all of these preventive techniques, self-exams, mammograms, MRIs when necessary, in my case I had to have several, are saving lives. Who is to say that a nameless, faceless government bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. should determine that my life is too expensive to save?
Then who is to say, though, to your point, because if the goal of health care reform is to control costs, something has to regulate. We're doing too many of this test, too many of that test. Somehow you have to control costs, do you not?
Well, you know what? First, the decisions about care should rest between a patient and their doctor, the people who know the science. Secondly, if we would focus more on quality of care, we would lower costs. That's been proven over and over again. In the places where people are focused on, for example, integrated patient care, costs are lower. Patient-centric care, costs are lower. If we're really interested in lowering costs, then let's pass the kind of medical malpractice reform that we passed in California. It saved money. It lowered insurance premiums. It would save probably $54 billion here nationwide. I don't see this debate really focused, frankly, on the real issues, quality, and let's make sure that everyone is covered. Sadly, we have a business case that doesn't add up. Quality isn't going to be improved, and costs are on the rise.
Carly Fiornia, a Republican candidate for Senate of the state of California. We appreciate your coming in here today for the last word. We'll come out to the West Coast and watch the campaign as it plays out. And up next, Democratic Senator Blanche Lincoln was the critical 60th vote to move the health care debate along. When we come back, we'll take you to her home state of Arkansas and show you how that vote just might cost Senator Lincoln her job. Thank you. Thanks for coming in.
You do a great job on this show.
This is a fun